Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson. I'm sharing you an end-to-end series of my painting, The Stairway at Buttermilk Falls, and this is episode 4. In this episode, I am refining and working with the unwanted blobs that formed in the painting by the process of using the plastic wrap. Accidents like this can happen quite frequently with watercolor, and I'm showing you how I'm defining and trying to incorporate them into the work in a logical way. The accidents can be very interesting, at least to me. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Now on to the painting. We're back here at session number 4 on this painting of the staircase climbing up the slope of the Buttermilk Falls Gorge. After a little time away from this painting, now I'm seeing things that need to be done. I'm seeing that I need to soften some of the shadows, further refine the trees, and add on to them. I'm also bringing a little bit more of the warm burnt sienna into the staircase, just to keep incorporating those colors of the warm slope onto the cool colors of the steps, and trying to bring the painting together and homogenize, integrate the colors. So I'm finding a little bit of warms wherever they might look particularly nice and just fit in. Some yellow ochre and some burnt sienna are the colors I'm using at the moment. And here you see me softening the shadows. Toward the front of the painting, the staircase will be much more vividly and strongly colored, just so that I could show the perspective in the painting. Moving back up the staircase, we move further and further away from the view, and so the shading and the colors get softer. Now I'm tackling those blobs that formed next to the tree. I'm putting some small suggestion of textured leaves into them. Trying to do a little blending outward as well. I decided to put a tree in along that particular edge to make it look like the tree was the thing that was defining that blobby thing sticking out. And that solution seemed to work pretty well for me. Again with the white gouache, to continue to break up the blobs. When you're working so wet on wet with watercolor, you do not have a lot of control. And blobs will form and runs will form and things will happen that you might not really like, but you have to figure out how to work with it. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here, is to break up these big shapes that form that I don't really have much use for. And yet working wet on wet gives a freedom and a looseness and some spontaneity to the painting that you don't get in the same way if it's approached in a very, very careful and more dry brush, meticulously planned composition. I really enjoy working in many different styles. This is one of my favorite, is setting up this very loose, unplanned type of background and then coming in and making it tighter and more defined. At times, though, I like to start with a very controlled composition and plan each stroke and every stroke. Very different effects that you're going to get. And most all, it's fun. But I love the bright colors and the spontaneity of this type of approach. Here I'm edging more of the rocks with some white gouache to highlight them. Coming back and putting a second layer where I want the whites to be more pronounced in the background to break up the leaf forms and make the sky sparkle through the leaves. If this had been very carefully planned, I could have applied all this with masking fluid and then removed it when the painting was dry to have those beautiful pure whites. But this approach was not particularly planned. And you have to make choices about what you're trying to do with your watercolor in order to approach it in the manner that will work out best for you. When it starts to look natural, I'll leave it be for a while. And then I decided to incorporate some of the beautiful turquoise colors that were more on the left side of the painting into the right side as well. If you notice how turquoise plays off of the bright orangey colors, it's something I find particularly attractive in any painting, is turquoise and orange in that particular combination. Using some cobalt blue here to make some of my colors retreat and recede a little bit more. Back to the front tree. The two trees on the left have been sort of intimidating me because I want to make them lovely and loose and formed, and yet I don't want to overpaint them. I'm trying to decide where to leave the color that was there and where to add additional color. Bringing the warm colors back into the left side of the picture to further integrate the warm and cool. And using some of the white gouache to highlight the left side of the tree trunk. Sunlight trickles through the leaves and the overhead canopies in patches and pieces. In this kind of setup, I generally will not highlight the entire side of the tree, but parts and bits where the sun might be trickling through and lighting up areas and spots. I think this gives a more natural effect. At a certain point, it's going to start to look closer and closer to what I'm looking for. But I do believe I'm going to need more darks in the trees on the left-hand side. And here I'm adding some details into the bark with some darks. I'm making my branches here in some very bright colors, not just the darks. Now you see me using my fingers, which is something I probably shouldn't do, but I do very carefully wash after I'm done with a painting session. As you know, many artists' paints are not really good for you to ingest or absorb through your skin. When I'm teaching a class with younger children, I only use non-toxic paints. Most adults are aware that art materials can be dangerous and should be used with caution. But using my fingers sometimes just is a quick and good solution, and I'll do a little blending that way. This little tree growing up in the foreground needed to be much darker in order to stand out and show that it was a closer tree. And now I'm starting to see the trees in the foreground on the left side really start to pop out from the background and show their presence. Texturing the bark. Putting in some darker shadows. And deciding where they should go and how far they should go. More dark branches are going to add a lot of structure to this painting as well. The direction of the branches are going to lead the eye around the painting, which is exactly what the artist wants. As long as people don't look off the painting and lose interest quickly. But this has been a fun session today. Next time I think I'll finish it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. For more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. Your comments are always welcome as well. Click on the link if you'd like to see my next video or one recommended by YouTube. And there's more links in my description page below. See you next painting.